So I hate mowing the lawn, and I always have. Around the time my first daughter was born, life was really hard. As you can imagine, if you've ever had a newborn, everything about life is hard when you have a newborn. And so, with everything being so hard with a newborn and having a demanding job, I wasn't doing a good job of keeping up with the lawn, especially since I hated doing it anyway. Any excuse to skip doing that, and I would take it. However, at that time, my wife and we had this neighbor, and keep in mind, we lived out kind of in the country at that time, but we had this neighbor who really, really cared about his lawn. Now, this neighbor, he had a farm, so behind his house, he had large combines and silos and cows and a cow pasture, but the front of his house, very well manicured. And since our lawn was right next to his, he was not having anything less than perfection on our side as well. So anytime the lawn would start to get a little high, he would come over and he'd say something about it. But he would always wait until I left for work. He would wait, and then he'd bang on the door, and my wife was there with a newborn and dealing with all of that, trying to work from home with a newborn and all of the anxiety and stress that comes along with that. So this guy would come and bang on the door, and he'd say, I noticed that your lawn is getting a little shaggy, and I could mow it for you, and I wouldn't charge you too much. So she'd run him out of there all the time. So finally, this guy started taking his tractor, and we had kind of a field at that time. We had about an acre and a half. And so this guy would take his tractor, and he started mowing our lawn, and then he would, if he didn't get to it, he'd call the police and have them come put a thing on our door that said our lawn was too tall. And so he was really, really bothered by the tall grass. So my wife wanted me to be confrontational with this guy. She wanted me to go over and have a talk with him. And that's all well and fine. But at that time, I was a restaurant manager, so my all day, every day was confrontation, and I didn't want to do it when I got home. So I did the next best thing. I went down to Lowe's, and I bought 50 no trespassing signs, and I lined the entire side of our property with them. I mean, it might as well been a fence of no trespassing signs between our two houses. And why there wasn't a fence there to begin with, I don't know, but I think 50 no trespassing signs got the point across to go away.